Órale, raza! Again, Roundtable 81. And we got another all-star panel as usual. We got D-Style Boxing. We got Dave from the 408, and we're going to have some more people joining us later as the show progresses. Let's jump right into it, man. Obviously, huge weekend of boxing. Let's get started with Jermell Charlo. Undisputed now, right? He's still got some options. He's got Fondura waiting in the wings, Tszyu, but he's even said that he might go up to middleweight. What's going to happen next? What do you guys think? I'm going to start with you, Dave. What do you think is next for Jermell Charlo after becoming undisputed?
I'd like to see him defend that undisputed title. I absolutely would love to see him versus Tim Tszyu. I think Tim Tszyu made kind of an impressive splash, but he seemed very vulnerable, which makes that fight very exciting because we know that Charlo's got a lot of pop. He's definitely got the pop. But I think Tim Tszyu with his Australian fan base, and we're gonna see Kambosos very soon in action, so that might attract a lot of overseas attention to a mega fight between him and Tim Tszyu. Does he deserve it? Maybe not just yet. Fondura, the Californian, equally exciting. He's a freak of nature. I don't know who would want to fight that guy, but being undisputed, he's got to. If he's a mandatory, he's got to go for it. He's got to defend the title. There's also somebody else that I wouldn't mind seeing, and I'd like to know how people feel about that. I would not mind seeing Bud Crawford make the leap up to 154, and being that he is a world champion, he should get, first dibs at that crack too. That's a very exciting fight. Of course, everybody wants to see the unification undisputed at 147 between Terrence Bud Crawford and Spence. That's most likely the case. Hopefully, we're going to get that first, but I would love to see Terrence Crawford make his debut at 154 against Charlo.
Gotcha. D, what do you think? What's next for Charlo? What do you want him to do?
What should Jermell Charlo do? What options does he have? Ladies and gentlemen, the sky's the limit. Have you ever seen the movie Scarface? Right? And Tony Montana walks outside and he looks up at the sky, and the New Year blimp and it says, "The world is yours." That's Jermell. That's what it means to be undisputed champion of this world. And right now, the option is definitely Fondura. That's the obvious answer, if I'm honest. But if people if they insist that he should fight Tim Tszyu, then he should go that option, because you know what? I don't think Tim Tszyu's quite ready for that level yet. He will be one day, but not right now. So if people keep insisting, people keep saying you should do that fight, why not? And I got to say, I think a good quote-unquote interview for Australia is this fight with Devin Haney and Kambosos. If Devin Haney outboxes Kambosos and he gets a fair shake from the judges, right, and he's announced the winner, then maybe it makes it easier for Tim Tszyu to lure a guy like Jermell Charlo over to Australia to make that fight. But I would like to see the Fondura fight, but there's another option, and that is if the Errol Spence fight doesn't happen with Crawford, maybe Crawford could move up and challenge Jermell Charlo for the junior middleweight undisputed championship of the world. He could become a 2-division undisputed champion. But if I was him, I would hold on a little longer, because even if he does fight Spence and beat Spence, that'll be even a bigger money fight for him, right? And that's intriguing, because Crawford could be a 3-division undisputed champion. In 2 fights, he could more than make up for what people say he's been lacking in resume all these years. And maybe that's me being very Crawford-centric in my thinking, because I'm a big Crawford fan. But I do think that will be a great fight. I do. But immediate, what he should do, Fondura, and I'm going to say it right now, babe, he knocks Fondura out.
Yeah. Well, I've been picking against Charlo for a while now, and he's proven me wrong. So I think Fondura is a handful for anybody. I think that Tim Tszyu doesn't really match up well with Charlo. I think, his defense is a little bit shaky, and he's not as quick. I don't think he's as explosive. He can punch a little bit. Decent boxer. But Charlo is really versatile. He moves around the ring very well. And he showed a really solid inside game as well against Castano. He was shorting up the shots when Castano got in close. I thought he would be a little bit wound up too tight for this fight. It seemed to be too emotional. But when that bell rang, he pulled it all together and he fought a very poised fight, very disciplined fight, right? I think I'd have to say that was probably the best I've ever seen him look, because it was a complete performance. He did a little bit of everything. He boxed from the outside, he moved, he counterpunched, fought on the inside. When things had to get rough, he held his own. He had no problem pushing Castano back when Castano was being aggressive. So, even though Fondura's size presents problems, Fondura can punch well himself. Charlo has shown to be a very good body puncher, and that could be a great tactical game plan against Fondura. And I think that would give Fondura some problems and break him down. And here's the thing, too. Fondura did go down against Lubin. Fondura did go down against Lubin. So if he goes down against Charlo and gets back up, Charlo is going to finish him. He'll finish him. You know what I mean? So it's a tough fight, but
standing ovation, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you bring up a great point in that in their recent performances, both of those guys tasted the canvas. Tszyu and Fondura.
Yeah.
Which makes it really intriguing against Charlo, who we know is displayed pop when he needs to.
Yeah, and then like I said, he's got experience, Charlo, and he's not gonna take his foot off the gas pedal. He's gonna jump right on a guy when he gets him hurt. So very, very, very interesting. Options there for Jermall Charlo. Jermell, yeah. All right. Still talking about this Bivol fight with Canelo, right? People are still a little buzz around it now that it kind of died down with all the the excuses and all this and that. I think people have accepted Canelo lost fair and square. But the big question is, everywhere Eddie Hearn goes, everywhere anyone goes, the question is, should he fight Bivol next or go right to Golovkin? It's a great question. What do you think, Dave? What would you like to see him do? Do you think this rematch with Bivol really makes sense at this point?
You know how much I cried when Canelo lost? You know how much I didn't cry at all, man. But I bought this bottle during the Canelo fight, and there's barely any tequila left. So it just goes to show how much I drank during that fight.
When you drink that much tequila, you cry, brother. I'm sorry. Either you cry or you make babies. You know what I mean? It's one or the other.
All right, guys. My feelings are that if they run this back immediately, and I'm seeing the chatter that Bivol wants to have it at 175, it's going to totally work against Canelo. I don't think he should re-examine that fight immediately at all. I mean, I know that he's letting his ego get the best of him, but as much as people are detesting a third trilogy fight with Gennady Golovkin made the younger gold medalist and the Japanese fighter look like crap. I liked his performance in that last fight. He went over foreign soil and looked impressive for a 40-year-old guy. I think he's got just enough left in the tank to put a stamp on this trilogy, and trilogies are fantastic. We saw the Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury trilogy. They're great for history. Maybe in the moment, we don't want to see it. Most people don't want to see it. But I think Gennady Golovkin still has something to bring to the table. And at 168, it makes it even more intriguing. And if Canelo can cement this trilogy by knocking out Gennady Golovkin, who he had a controversial draw, some say gift, in the first fight, less controversy in the second fight. But if he can knock him out, to me, that reminds me of Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez 4, where Juan Manuel said, I showed you that I am the better fighter of the two. Here it is. There will not be another fight. I've knocked you out. I definitely do want to see him fight in September, and I think it's a pathway to restore his glory.
D, what do you think, man?
Well, first, in that analogy, Triple G's Marquez, right? So I just want to throw that out there. But look. A lot of people have been given and rightfully so. Everyone has a right to feel how they want to feel. But I've been hearing people say, "Oh, he shouldn't rematch. What for? I've seen enough. If it's not close, we don't need to do it." And But the reality is, we have seen guys that have been beat before, and they come back and they avenge their losses, right? Paul Williams was spanked, in my opinion, against Quintana. Came back, knocked him out in the first round, right? So you don't really know, right? And if Bivol will agree to a rematch clause, and there was a rematch clause in the fight, then Canelo's entitled to it. And I think our opinion really doesn't matter. Now, it's still fair to ask, how do I feel about it? Look, Bivol is the one that challenged Canelo to 168 pounds. Okay. Canelo has a lot to offer him, right? Because the question would be, what for? Well, for those 4 belts. Bivol would be a 2-division champion. It wouldn't be the first time a guy moves down in weight to get a belt. It wouldn't be the first time. Guys have done that before, right? Bivol is not, and and I was thinking, like, when it came out, Zordo was like, I don't know how true it is, but reports came out saying it was 204 pounds, and he did look massive in there, right?
Exactly.
When I look at Bivol, I don't say to myself, oh man, he's big like a Zordo. Like, he really isn't. So if Bivol is able to, challenge Canelo to that, and he feels he can do it, right? And Canelo's willing to do it, then I'm not against it at all. And I don't know about you guys, it makes it more intriguing to me if the fight's at 168 pounds. It just does. It brings a whole nother new dynamic to it, right? Because now this is Bivol saying, look, y'all saying he came to my neighborhood, he was out of his element. I'm going to go to his neighborhood now, right? And I'm going to take those belts. And that makes it interesting, right? And it does bring to life the debate of, well, how much of a factor was the size? Well, if Bivol goes to 168 and beats Canelo, that evaporates overnight, right? So he has that opportunity to if he can make the weight and he can make it comfortably and he's willing to do it, he's the one that challenged Canelo to it, they can do it. And guess what? Let's say weight is a factor, hypothetically. Like, Bivol just doesn't look the same, Canelo beats him, right? They can always do the trilogy at 175 to settle it, right? Because then the next storyline is, all right, Canelo, all right, okay, you beat me at 168, but can you beat me at 175 though? Like, that you didn't do, right? And then it couldn't, like, don't be shocked if we get a trilogy out of this fight, especially if Canelo wins, even if it's in controversial fashion, the second fight. To me, that's the fight to make. To me, that's the bigger challenge. And you could have all the opinions you want in the world, but the one thing you cannot take away from Canelo is that he's a competitor. And competitors don't like leaving things like in the dust. At the very least, he wants to make a better account of himself, at the very least. Right? He doesn't want to be known as the guy that got out of box and only won 3 rounds against Bivol. He's like, if he can make it closer, whatever it is, he has a lot on the line to prove there. And I'll tell you another thing. I rewatched the fight a couple more times. I still have it wide. I still scored a 9-3. But many of those rounds, while clear for Bivol, were competitive. And I do feel Canelo could have done some things in there to make it even closer and win more rounds. Like, I don't come out of that fight saying to myself, yeah, Bivol's at another level and Canelo doesn't belong in the ring with him. No, like, Canelo looked like he belonged in the ring with him. He was just outboxing the majority of those rounds. As far as Gennady Golovkin, look, man, this whole dude's career is all like, and people get all mad or whatever, but his whole career is all stories, man. Like that's all it is. Like fighters that live off of sparring stories. Like Triple G lives off of like stories. Like, oh, Sergio Martinez ducked him. Like no, he didn't. I was here on YouTube, brothers. I was here talking about like all the middleweight champions and when Abraham was a champion and Stern was a champion and Martinez was a champion, and I saw that Martinez was fighting Chavez Jr. Andy Lee was in the mix. I never heard about no Gennady Golovkin until he made his HBO debut. Because look at his track record, bro. This dude was fighting a dude with an upside-down record in Kasim Uma at the time anyway. Kasim Uma was on losing streaks, and he was fighting Ishida. Like, he was fighting dudes like that, right? So I get it, but this dude's whole thing, his whole MO, getting paid is all about living off of the Canelo name. That's all it is. Everybody knows he's not going to be Canelo in the year 2022. Everybody knows that, right? But if people and ain't nobody want to see the fight. Nobody's giving no credit for the fight, Beeb. And nobody give him credit for that fight anyway. The fight to do is Bivol. If he beats Gennady Golovkin, what are people going to say? Yeah, but you were supposed to beat him. He was old, right? And then what if he loses? Like, what does he gain out of that? For what? He's already fought the guy twice. In my opinion, he clearly beat him in the second fight. I know you might disagree with that. And it's just too late now. He's too old at this point. He's going to get destroyed if he fights Canelo, all right? But those of you that are advocating for a Gennady Golovkin fight, I want you to scream it to the moons, and I want you to make a pledge. Make a pledge that you will give Canelo all the credit in the world, and when people start saying, who the fuck wanted him to fight Golovkin, you need to scream out loud, I wanted him to fight Golovkin. I asked for this. That's what you need to do. So I don't want to see the Gennady Golovkin fight. That's me.
Lady Chen, what guan, girl?
What guan?
How you
¿Qué
doing?
onda, orale?
Dada.
What
What's
up?
going on?
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
So you just jumped in at a great time.
Sorry, yeah, a bit late.
No, it's fine. We're talking about Canelo. Should he rematch Bivol or should he jump into that Triple G fight? What's your opinion on that? Would you like to see him do?
I think at first I couldn't care not about the third Triple G fight. I still don't really care about the third Triple G fight, but I mean, now that we've seen him lose to Bivol, I think it kind of made Canelo look a bit more mortal. So now there's questions like, oh, can he beat a Triple G? Because in my books of when I've watched the Triple G and I've 2 fights and I've rewatched them and point scored, I've never actually had Canelo beating him. I had him Canelo losing the first for 10 rounds to 2. Yeah. And then I watched the second one again the other day on my rewatch, and I had it 114 to 114. So it was a draw. So can he beat Triple G? I think he can, because this aged out Triple G is a bit old. You saw him have problems with Murata. So it'd be if you want to see Canelo win a fight, do the Triple G one and then maybe do Bivol after. But I don't think you should do Bivol now. But people say that with other fighters. I really don't mind. Whatever choice he wants to do, he does. We're still going to watch, right? So it's whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Waiting for Drew.
Yeah, it's loading up. Drew.
It's loading up.
Drew, you loaded.
So
yeah.
Okay. Drew, what's going on, brother? I'll let you get situated. So I never ever cared for the Triple G fight, and I still don't care for the Triple G fight. And I kind of changed my stance on this Bivol fight because I said, why fight Bivol again? It was clear, decisive victory for Bivol. But I kind of changed my stance because, like, D-Style made some great points. We've seen guys, lose badly in the first fight. They've come back to win. And I think he could do better. And if he does go down and fights Bivol at 168, then people are going to say, oh, well, you couldn't beat him at 175. You beat him at 168. He was weight drained, whatever. It would be an asterisk victory, and he's got enough asterisk victories on his record. We don't need another one. So I think that really has nowhere else to go. Bivol wants to become undisputed. He wants to unify, right? But you got Joe Smith, you got Benavidez. They're going to be fighting in June, so they're not going to be able to go right away. So he's going to have to get a fight in, right, in September or October or whatever, right? So I don't hate this Canelo rematch, if I'm being honest. I don't think it's horrible, right? Anything to prolong me having to see that third Triple G fight, I'm all for, man. You know what I'm saying? Bri, what's going on? You ready?
Salute.
What's going on, baby? What do you think? You want to see this Bivol rematch? You were the one who picked Bivol the first time. You said he would win one-sidedly. So what do you think? Would you rather see him go fight Golovkin, or would you rather see the rematch? Oh, he's a little. Get situated.
I would hate to see. Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
right.
Can you? I think he's got a delay.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a delay. So, Dave, what would you like, man? Would you care about this Bivol rematch, or would you want to see the Golovkin fight?
You mean Drew? Drew hasn't had a chance.
No, Drew. Oh, did Drew go?
No.
Drew, you ready?
Yeah,
Who'd
I'm
you rather
been
see,
ready.
brother. Go ahead, man. Got your mic squared away?
Yeah, I look good as always. I'm ready to go. I'll tell you the truth. I think this is gonna end the same way. I think Bivol's gonna easily beat Canelo again. Even at 168, he still beats him. I don't think this is a fighter that Canelo just is not gonna beat.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, man, I think that there's really nowhere else to go. And I mean, if he goes into the Golovkin fight, it's going to make it look like he's got unfinished business. You know, he failed and he couldn't do what other fighters did. And then, he wants to challenge himself. He wants to achieve greatness. Then go right back in the tough fight. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think you should. That's what I think you should do. And I think it should be at 175. Bri, you squared away? I don't think he is. You good?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Well, look, I mean, Canelo was gonna get his ass whooped by Bivol. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that the first fight even warrants a rematch. I mean, because it was so lopsided. I don't care what the judges say. We saw what we saw. We saw an ass whooping. Nothing to really say nothing bad about. I mean, he got beat by a great light heavyweight. He got beat by a very highly skilled light heavyweight that is a threat to anybody at 175, and Canelo moved up. I believe that Canelo should go ahead and fight a Triple G rematch. No, I think that there's nothing there. I mean, they made it a draw in the first fight. You beat him in the second fight. If there's a draw and you decisively beat somebody in the second fight, there's no point for a rubber match. I believe that he needs to go ahead and fight Benavidez. He needs to go ahead and take care of that. If Charlo and Andrade want to move up and fight him, and want to step up to the plate, then let them do that. But I don't believe that he should fight Bivol, and I don't believe that he really should fight Triple G, because there's no point. There's probably not going to be any money made in that fight, and there's probably not going to be any prestige in fighting that fight with Triple G, because there's nothing there to gain. And there's a whole lot to lose against the second fight against Bivol if he loses to Bivol at 168 or 175 again, so which I think he would lose. So he need to go ahead and just defend his titles against David Benevidaz and get that out the way. That's my opinion.
Gotcha. We always talk about this topic, and we always find ourselves coming back to it, the whole pound for pound thing. And I hate to beat a dead horse, but I'm going to talk about it again tonight.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because this is what aggravates me, because I don't really like it, but I talk about it because people always ask me questions about it. And if you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But first thing, Canelo loses. What happens? Terrence Crawford's like, so who's number one now, right? Jermell Charlo, Mike Coppinger asked him a question. Are you going to put me on that list now? You're going to put me on that list now? So, like, these fighters, to me, they seem like they care more about this list than they do, like, the world title championships and making defenses and stuff like that. So, I got to go around the panel, man. I mean, does anyone really, really care about this pound for pound list, and how important to you is it? Go ahead, Lady Chan.
I was caring before, and then it's just been a load of rubbish. Like, there's no there is set criteria, but nobody goes with it. So, like, I'm watching your commentary as well, Beeb, and I just said on my show maybe a few days ago, because I had my new kind of pound for pound list. I tried to adapt everybody else's criteria of how to do it. Like, I used Julius ringside IQs, like tactics, this and that. And in the end, I was like, nah, do you know what? Guess what? I just retire. I don't have one. I don't got a pound for pound list. I'm not entertaining it. I don't care about it. That's me. I'm out of the pound for pound game, guys. No list from me, unless there's some revised criteria, everybody sticks to it, then I'll jump back in. Until then, nah, I'm out. I can't bother to keep having these back and forth debates about your list is trash, my list is trash, this is this, why is that one that? Just forget it. It's true. It gives me anxiety, so forget it.
Dave, are you a pound for pound guy, brother, or what?
Pound for pound, if it operated with sound logic, if Canelo was number one and lost to Bivol, the very next day, Bivol should have been on the headlines, pound for pound number one. So it's BS. Like, there's no set criteria amongst all the people who rank him, whether it's Ring Magazine or ESPN, right? It really should be more my favorite boxer list. These are my favorite. This is Mike Coppinger's favorite boxers list. You know, my top 10 boxers of the moment. No, I don't think Terrence Crawford deserved to be on top of Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez is much more accomplished, has done so much more in the sport. His accolades are much higher. I almost feel like when Canelo lost, he was still my pound for pound number one based on his accomplishments, because he dared. First of all, he becomes undisputed at 168 and dares to go against a current world champion in the next weight class and loses. I mean, it's almost like he really didn't deserve to be demoted beneath Terrence Crawford. I think, yeah, pound for pound is all rubbish, to be honest. It should really, just another way of saying it is really, these are my favorite boxers, and that's going to differ from personality to from commentator to commentator.
Absolutely. D, who's your pound for pound favorite fighter?
Well, let me say that, and I know why you asked me that way. Like, first of all, pound for pound was not made or created, or the concept of it was never meant for people to argue who's number 8 pound for pound. Okay? Like, I've seen people lose friendships because they're going back and forth on Twitter on who's number 8. Is it Tyson Fury or Inoue? Ah, fuck you, it's Inoue. Nah, Tyson Fury is better. And like they're arguing about a heavyweight and a bantamweight and who's better. Oh, and if they were the same size, if Tyson Fury was Inoue size, his fat will be dragging on the mat. Okay, we can't make him that size. All right, we don't know what it is yet. We don't know how, like, Inoue is not, like, if Inoue was 6'9", he wouldn't move like that anymore. Okay, like, it's the whole, like, stop thinking of it that way. This is all pound for poundness. Okay, this is all it is. Like, you could even remove the word pound for pound. Who's the best boxer on the planet, regardless of weight class? Who's that dude? Who's that guy? Okay, that's all it means. That's all it's ever meant. The pound for pound king is all that's ever mattered. Not who's number 4, not who's number 8. I see people doing top 20 lists now. Like, I don't care who's number 19 pound for pound. That doesn't matter. It's already subjective enough getting one guy. But and then you're going to make a list of 10? This is crazy. And then people have all types of criterias. Like what have they done, their accomplishment. That's not what pound for pound is. You can take that into account because obviously what you accomplished says a lot about your talent. But to me, the best pound for pound fighter on the planet today is Terrence Crawford. That's who I believe is the best fighter on the planet. That's my opinion. And I leave it at that. Oh, if people want to debate who's number 4, if they want to go back and forth about who's number 7, if they want to go back and forth the coveted number 9 spot in the pound for pound list, knock yourselves out. I only talk about who is the best on the planet. That's it. That's all I talk about.
Drew, do you have a pound for pound list?
Yes, I do.
Oh, shit.
And my number 1 fighter is the man that's going to end Anthony Joshua's career when he fights him again.
Oh, no.
Alexander Usyk.
Oh, no.
Alexander. At least get his name right.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. Why? He's fought everybody mostly on their home turf and beat them. He hasn't really had a fight in Ukraine. He was an undisputed cruiserweight champion. He currently hosts 3 out of the 4 heavyweight titles. Like, I don't understand why people don't give this dude this prompts that he should, because he should at least be number 2 at least. Like, good resume and everything. And he beat them all mostly in their hometown.
I agree with you. Like, if I have to pick who's the best, Terrence Crawford's my favorite fighter and Anthony Joshua. But if I have to put, Sorry, GC style, you know. But if I have to pick, if you have to say who's technically the best boxer against all the 17 weight cats, I'd have to say Usyk. It's technically the best boxer.
You know,
That's no cap. And then, and I know D-Star don't want like number 1 and number 2, but then it would be a close number 2. Then Terence Crawford would have to be right there. And that's where I'd be prepared to stop.
when I look at Crawford, to me, he's like the most talented. He's the most versatile. I think he's the most complete fighter in terms of skills on, in that group. But Usyk is real close too behind him in that skill department. But what Usyk does have over him is the accomplishments. I think his unifying at cruiserweight, his run with, I think, and it's my opinion, was more difficult than Terence Crawford's at 140. And then going up and beating Joshua and winning 3 belts in Joshua, that was a tall task. He was a 3-1 underdog. He overcame the odds. I just think if you want to add in the accomplishments, that's where I think Usyk will edges it out over Crawford. But as far as like a guy with just pure talent and versatility and who could do it all, eye test wise, I would say Crawford is the most talented, but I'd have to put Usyk number 1 if I, bring in all the other criteria. It's just my opinion.
Hey, Beeb, if I could address D-Styles, I may not have Terence Crawford as my number 1, but he's, to me, just 2 wins away from being the greatest boxer of our generation. He could literally be a 3-division undisputed world champion with just 2 wins away. I'm talking about a win over Errol Spence, followed by a win over Jermell Charlo. And that's something that I didn't think was possible until Canelo lost 2 weeks ago. Now I see a path for Bud Crawford to be this generation's greatest fighter.
Yeah. And the whole argument about if everyone's the same size, I've said this several times. I mean, your skill is based off of your physical dimensions. If you're 5'8", and you're 165 pounds and you walk into a gym, they're not going to teach you how to fight like Michael Nunn, or they're not going to teach you how to fight like, a James Toney. They're going to teach you differently. You're not going to be, if you're short, you're not going to be an outboxer, if you're in a heavier weight class. So if you were a different size, you would fight differently based off of your physical dimensions. That's just how it is, And if you were small and you got big, you'd lose your size, your speed, excuse me. So it's just that whole argument if everyone was the same size. There's no way of knowing how everyone would fight if they were the same size, because they would all change their styles, in my opinion. So another fight that's been talked about, going back and forth, Isaac Cruz and Ryan Garcia. The WBC ordered an eliminator, and now all of a sudden they canceled that eliminator because both of these guys had fights scheduled. My question is, why did they schedule fights? Why didn't they just fight each other? There's so much talk. Are these guys going to get it on? And are we going to see Ryan Garcia in a big fight since he's come back? I mean, who's he going to fight next, right? I mean, we want to see him in there with a big fight. We want to see if this kid is back. So what are your thoughts on this, Drew? This whole canceling this eliminator, not rescheduling it, and these guys are fighting other people instead of fighting each other.
Screw Ryan Garcia. Nah, like seriously, like I'm really tired of this crap with Ryan Garcia. Like close to making fights for him, like big fights, and then they all fall apart. Even though Isaac Cruz's team rejected the fight first and everything. But end of the day, why is he not fighting Vasily Lomachenko? Why is he not fighting Jojo Diaz? Why is he not fighting Tank Davis when he's called out Tank Davis multiple times and everything? Says I want to fight him, and then nothing happens. Like, and then he backs out of a Javier Fortino fight supposedly because of his mental issues. So like, nah, I'm about tired of hearing about Ryan Garcia. Until a fight is actually made and he actually gets in the ring with someone important, I don't really care for him.
Yeah. D, what's up with your man, Crying Ryan, as you like to call him?
Lion Ryan.
Oh, it's Lion Ryan? Okay.
Right. No, well, here's the thing, though. Like, according to what I saw, both of them already have fights scheduled.
Correct.
So they were both going on social media and doing interviews talking about how I want to fight him, but he's stuck in me. But in the main, they're both like already like have other opponents already. Like they can't think we're that stupid, dude. Like especially in this age where you have divisions where guys are going undisputed and everything. This is an era where guys are fighting each other, and you know what I mean. You can't really get away with that anymore. Like that age is kind of over now, especially in this age of social media. We're watching you like hawks, and like you both already had other opponents lined up. So what are you doing? Why are you saying, "Oh, Ryan Garcia is ducking me," but you already signed to fight somebody else? And why is Ryan doing the same thing? This is getting ridiculous at this point. Like this is for a mandatory spot for that WBC belt. Do you want it or not? All right. Unfortunately, there's 4 belts, so they get to pick and choose. It gives them a lot of leeway. And if you're Ryan Garcia, they're going to give you leeway no matter what, because, I mean, his last fight did a pretty decent gate. You know what I mean? So for a lightweight, he brings in money, so they're going to give him leeway no matter what. But I'll tell you what, if anybody's wondering why Munguia is fighting the retired quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, Jim McCauley. Okay, if you're wondering why Ryan Garcia isn't really being pushed that much, well, he gave the playbook away. He himself said, "If I was Eddie Hearn's an idiot. If I was promoting Canelo, I wouldn't be stupid enough to put him in the ring with somebody that could beat him." Well, Oscar De La Hoya already told the whole world that if he believes somebody could beat his fighter, he's not going to make that fight. That's what he told the world. Good job, Oscar. Good going there. You know what I mean? But that's all I got to say about it. It's all stupid shit.
Hey, what's going on, man? Why ain't these guys getting it on?
Steve, you call me?
Yeah, so why ain't these guys getting it on?
Because
They're not getting it on because didn't today Oscar De La Hoya announce that he re-inked his deal with DAZN? That's what's going on. From what I read, when PBC and him tried to work out this deal, PBC said this fight has to be a PBC pay-per-view special, and Oscar was very firm that it had to involve DAZN. And so I think there's some shenanigans with Suleiman, like usual, his usual tactics favoring Oscar De La Hoya. If they want to put together a decent fight, it's a guy that we just saw in action who looks very vulnerable, and he's part of Oscar De La Hoya's stable, and he's kind of in the style of Isaac Cruz, and that's William Zepeda, who we just saw fight Rene Alvarado last week. This is an in-house fight at DAZN, makes everybody happy, makes Oscar happy. And if Ryan Garcia comes up with a mysterious illness, well, it's no big deal. It's all in-house.
Gotcha. So, Lady Chan, do you think the problem here is with the networks, or do you think these guys just don't want to fight? They're selling wolf tickets. What's the problem here?
I only literally just before coming on here found out they was fighting they had other fights in the bag. So could you? But I don't know who they fighting.
I don't even know who they're fighting. But I'm just disappointed that they're not fighting each other. I mean,
this is Ryan Garcia and Isa. Well, we can see Ryan Garcia has a clear pattern of doing this. He did this with Jojo Diaz. He did this with Fortuna. He's did this when it was title eliminators. For those guys, for Devin Haney, he's been doing this. This is just a pattern. So, I swear, crazy. This is like a new me. Like, I don't get stressed out over these things anymore. Like, I've done. I'll just keep it moving. Yeah, it's just like whatever. Anytime I report on my show about Ryan Garcia, it gets about 10 views. So it just shows me nobody cares. So I should
cares anymore.
Yeah. No one cares about him. Yeah. So
he had so much momentum after that Luke Campbell fight. And then he just.
And I was one of them backing him. Yeah.
I was impressed with that performance.
He's talented. That's the thing. The dude is talented. Like we can see that he's got it.
I want to say something controversial.
Absolutely.
Okay? And this is just my opinion. Nobody else in the panel is responsible for what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
I don't believe him. I don't believe him when he says he was depressed. I just don't believe him. I just think it was a very convenient time to pull out of the Fortuna fight. Okay. I just don't believe him. Okay. And the reality is it was bullshit that they let him keep the interim belt. And Jose Sulaiman came out. We can let him keep the belt because he showed courageousness in coming out and saying about the mental illness. Like, no, bro, if it's real, then maybe he shouldn't be in the ring. Like, maybe being in the ring and taking a beating and a loss is not going to be very healthy for him. If it's that, if it's for real, maybe he shouldn't be in the ring. That sounds harsh, but this is the hurt business. It's a very serious sport.
Gotcha.
I agree. I
just got a
agree. If you ain't got the mental fortitude for it, or whether it's the fake, if it's fake, you're fake having these breakdowns, or you really are having these breakdowns. It's just either way, just get out the game. Like, we haven't got time for all this shit.
Well, here's a
Facts,
question.
lady Chan. I mean, well, facts. I mean, well, you have Oliver McCall, Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston, all these guys. All these guys had psychological issues. They didn't cry about it. You know what they did? They got up in the ring. They beat the shit out of their fucking opponents. That's how you. That's the remedy, and that's the antidote for solving your goddamn mental issues. You got mental issues, boxing is a great place to be in.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I don't believe that shit either.
Well,
Yeah,
here's a
I don't
question.
believe it.
Does anybody even give Isaac Cruz a chance to beat Ryan Garcia?
I didn't, but I had friends that did. Could you believe? And I know you guys are watching, so shame on you. They're like, no, I got Isak. I'm like, are you guys mad? Like, he's 5'2",
4.
and Ryan's like nearly 6 foot, 5'10". Like, well, come on now, stop it, stop.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this with Isaac Cruz, right? He's a midget, right? He's 5'2", 5'1". All right. But you know what? Being a midget actually is
They're gonna be coming for you, Brian. They're gonna be coming for you after that.
It is what. I know. Man. He's grown to be one of my favorite fighters, man. You know, because look, it's like this. What's his name? Ryan Garcia. He got hands. He got a left hook. He got power. One thing he doesn't have a chin. He doesn't have no defense. He doesn't protect himself well, and he has quick sand for feet. If I like Cruz getting the inside on his ass, how is Garcia gonna hit him with any shot? It's like when he's trying to throw punches downward against a midget, it's very hard to land on shorter fighters that have head movement. Cruz will destroy his body. Then he's gonna come upstairs and he's gonna drop his ass with an uppercut. I got Isaac Cruz winning against Garcia.
I agree. I think Isaac Cruz could beat him.
I think it's a tough fight. I think it's a tough fight.
You forgot one thing about
Like, why is Ryan bird watching? His chin's in the air all the time.
His chin's in the air. He stays on the line, but I mean,
Go ahead, Drew.
Nah, you forgot one thing about Ryan Garcia. He has the Amir Khan weakness. He lives his chin out.
Yeah.
He gets you countered.
Yeah.
That's just how he is, yeah, and he needs to fix that. But I don't think he loses to Isaac Cruz. I really don't. I don't.
Well, yes,
I think it's fair. I think it's fair to favor him, but Isaac Cruz is a good inside fighter, like Brian said, and if he gets inside on Ryan, we've never really seen Ryan have to grind it out on the inside. He doesn't use his jab a lot. He leads with a lot of power shots. Mm-hmm. So I could see Isaac Cruz sneaking in there and getting deep in that pocket on him, because if he's not going to be, kept honest with the jab in his face, if he's not going to be guarded from the outside, if he's just going to have an open entry to go deep in that pocket, then he's going to sneak in there. He got inside on Tank. I know Tank's a lot smaller than Ryan, but Tank can punch too. And this, when you're a short guy, you make yourself a compact target. You make yourself even harder to hit, right? And he tucks his chin pretty well. It's an interesting fight. I mean, obviously, like I said, I would favor Ryan, but I think Cruz is very live in that fight, if I'm being honest.
Why are they not fighting?
I know. I forgot. You know what I forgot too? I forgot about the networks too, because Cruz is a PBC guy, Ryan's the zone guy. So now that's gonna be the stumbling block too. I forgot to mention that, but they were already talking even
anyway. So yeah,
they were talking anyways. They were leading us to believe that wasn't going to be a problem, and I'm sure Isaac Cruz probably would have ended up going to the zone because it would have been a big money fight for him, and Ryan obviously would have been the A side. I don't like to get into that A side, B side crap, but I mean, Ryan's the bigger name, right? So it would have made sense for him to just go over to the zone, and the fight would have just been would have been a good event. I think the styles would mesh very well together. If I'm
Yeah.
being honest, I think
It'd
it'd
have
be
been
a
an intriguing thing to watch, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose sleep over it now. I'm just been
Absolutely,
moving on.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Joe, when you say good event, I'm reading numbers as low as 300,000 for the Canelo Alvarez pay-per-view on DAZN. First time they've charged extra money.
I think I saw 600 to 700,000.
Yeah, Eddie said it was 600.
Yeah, I saw him say 600. I've seen as low as 300. Even then,
I have
600.
seen the 300K, but I don't know if that's like a valid source.
So he saw Cruz coming over to DAZN. Is this a paper? Is this something they would charge that you would pay?
No,
I don't think it would be pay-per-view, Dave. I think it would be a regular DAZN fight.
Dave already gave him an idea, though, so thank you, Dave.
We had Canelo for free the other day.
Here's the problem, Dave.
We
Here's the
have to
problem,
pay.
Dave.
We're not
If
paying
it's
for no
on- if
ASAP Cruz.
If it's on PBC, it'll probably definitely be a pay-per-view.
Oh
fight.
yeah,
But if
everything's
it's on-
pay-per-view on PBC.
Yeah, because no one wants to pay the rights fees over there for a lot of these fights. So if they weren't on pay-per-view, they wouldn't even happen. You know what I mean? But I think if it's on DAZN, it's better for us. I don't think this will be a pay-per-view one. I think Eddie was saying that the only pay-per-view fights will be the Canelo fights and the Joshua fights, and maybe I don't know. That's all he really mentioned. Maybe a Golovkin fight if he's fighting someone big, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like when Golovkin went over and fought Murata, that was a regular one, right? That was a big event.
Maybe Ryan could have that fight with Pacquiao now.
Oh please, Pacquiao's gone.
Well, he lost the election. You never know, right?
Oh yeah, and then we see him in the gym again. You know, we're like, dude, do not come back. Just
They could fight on a helipad, top of a helipad in Dubai or something.
with Floyd.
So done.
Helipad thing.
Manny could beat Ryan.
They're
Garcia.
rescheduling that helipad fight. You know, they're gonna
It
reschedule.
should have
it.
never been scheduled.
I know.
Let alone Rue.
Yeah.
Oh
So-
Lord, guys, you don't understand. I'm so done. I'm like on the verge of this boxing thing. Like I'm every subject. Like I'm done. Like it's too stressful. It's a load of rubbish. Like we've had a good run of some boxing from the latter part of last year into this year. I just want the consistency to stay like this. You know like when we're doing these fantasy, why this one didn't do that and that one. It's just stressful. All it's doing is making us have high blood pressure and leading to a coronary attack. Or possibly a stroke. It's not really worth it, is it?
Like, Beef's only 27 years old. I mean, look how he looks at this point.
Yeah,
Just talking
please.
about
Beef, you're doing you well, Beef. 27. Oh,
I'll
well.
be 53 in December.
I know.
Are you 50? Are you 53?
In December, I will be. Yeah.
God damn, man, you don't look like that all. I thought you was 37 or something.
I look like I'm 60.
Hey, well, let me say something about the pound for pound shit, bro. But here's the thing, man. Like people must have forgot, man. Originally, pound for pound meant best fighter of regardless of weight class. You know what that includes? Includes the heavyweight division. You understand? And I just wanted to address that just real quick.
It doesn't include heavyweight, sorry.
It does. It does. It did originally.
Pound for pound was created in spite of heavyweights, not because of heavyweights.
Originally,
that's the truth.
no. D-style originally was before the Ray
Why would
Reynolds.
anybody
That's
need to
nostalgia,
call
Brian.
the
That's
heavyweight
nostalgia.
champion the pound for pound champion when he's
Unless you
already
come
the
from a
best?
different weight
I mean,
class.
yeah.
Like Usyk would have been in it. A Holyfield would have been in it.
Look,
because
Usyk. Hey, you know what? You have to move Usyk number one because he beat AJ. AJ's better than AJ. Is better than the win against Sean.
So
Porter.
Brian, let me put this to rest. If
Yeah.
all weight classes were wiped out, there were no more weight classes, right?
What's up?
And there was only one champion. The champion would be the heavyweight champion. Yes or no?
Damn right.
Okay. So the reason pound for pound, the concept of it is not because of heavyweight. We don't need pound for heavyweights. It was in
Heavyweight.
spite of heavyweights.
Heavyweight is the best division. You admit that, right?
No, I mean, I don't know.
No, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, D-style.
I mean, ever since Fury took the reins, it's kind of going through bad times right now. But I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I know. I feel that. No, I'm just I hear you.
The Klitschko era was worse than Fury and them. Klitschko era was worse because there was no good heavyweight.
No, those guys is pretty much the same. Pretty much those guys are probably a half step better than the shit that we're seeing today.
Well,
They're
the whole
pulling guys
division-
out the basketball court to teach them how to box, and it's just not working. Bro.
Well, the whole division at that time was terrible. The third best fighter closest to them was David Hay.
I like the heavyweights now because we got big baby Jaron Ennis coming up. We got Joe Joyce. We got Daniel Dubois. These guys are promising. These guys are promising. And then we got Joshua. We still got Wilder, who hasn't retired
He's
yet.
brutal.
Oh, please.
Tyson Fury, the greatest of all time.
Oh, please.
We got
And
TF.
Tyson Fury, the most overrated heavyweight.
Kicking cab
He is.
drivers, man. Got
Kicking
TF
down
kicking
cab drivers, but yet you want to talk about AJ being like a loser and a quitter.
Man, look, Tyson Fury is garbage. Man.
I gotta say, AJ does represent the division very well. I have to give him credit for that.
No, I'm talking about
He fought all his mandatories.
He has the best resume at heavyweight right now, without a doubt.
People always keep saying no.
Who, AJ?
This is what
I
I
even give up
always
in
say.
that argument. I'm like, all right, I'm out. Whatever.
This is what I always say.
Yeah,
I
he probably
said,
does, but he won't beat Fury or Usyk.
this is what I always say, though. I tell people, in my opinion, this isn't the division of the 90s or the 70s. So, in my opinion, I think AJ has more solid wins than Fury. But I think Fury's two biggest wins. Yeah, his two biggest wins, I think, were more impressive than Joshua's two biggest wins. But Joshua has more solid wins. He's more consistent than Fury.
I agreed with you on that. I get what you meant on that.
Yeah. You remember we talked about this.
said something nice about AJ.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, I get you on that.
I've been waiting 2 years for me to say something nice about AJ. Go ahead.
No, I respect AJ.
He got there in the end.
I respect AJ, man. Because here's the thing, AJ, if he says he's going to do something, he does it. He doesn't sell wolf tickets. He always fought his mandatories. He never threw any belts in the trash can. He never let anyone strip him. There's only one other guy that never allowed anyone to strip him. That was Holyfield. Even Lennox Lewis got stripped of the WBA title. You know, Riddick Bowe threw one of his belts in the trash.
Yeah, he threw it in the trash. Yeah.
Tyson.
Josh Taylor stripped.
Yeah. So, you got to give AJ credit, man. He always his goal was to unify. When he said it, and I believe he meant it, because all his actions support that, in my opinion. So
but we got your guy just blocking up the whole division. Retire, not retire.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that one. You want to jump?
I'm gonna retire, but I'm not gonna vacate the belt. I'm the hostage. I'm gonna fight Ngannou, and then I'm gonna I don't know about that.
Let's jump into that one because the WBC is saying we are not gonna pressure him. We're not gonna put any deadlines on it. The guy said he retired.
But the week before, they said they wanted him to make a decision within a week. And then they changed. And
he probably rung them up and said, I'm on a holiday right now. Can you give me a couple more months and we'll talk it out later? Again,
I'm going to absolutely retire. I will not come back. Is that what he said?
The WBC does a lot of good things, but they do a lot of bad things too. Like they let fighters hold on to the title for 2 years before enforcing a mandatory. They order 15 eliminators before assigning
without eliminating anyone.
Without eliminating anyone, right? So who are you really eliminating, right? You're eliminating logic from the equation is what you're really doing, right? So let's try to make sense of this. What is going on with the WBC? Is this right? Like you said, Lady Chin, Tyson Fury is logjam in the division right now, and he's blocking Undisputed, right? Because this belt is basically in limbo. It's in purgatory right now, right? What are your thoughts on this whole thing with Mauricio Suleiman? He needs to make a decision, no?
I just don't understand. But listen, as someone, if you're going to go by the rules, you don't have to put pressure on Tyson Fury. He's got a year to adhere to a mandatory. So technically, is he really holding up the division? We're just sick of him. So we've just moved to you're holding up the division. But really, if this was another fighter, a dedicated fighter that played by all the rules and then, had their trilogy and then they beat their Mando, would we really be wanting someone to answer if they're going to vacate or not within 3 weeks and they just fought 3 weeks ago? Really, realistically, Is that fair for us to really do? And I can't stand a dude, but I'm still being fair. Is it fair for us to be like, yo, what are you doing? You leaving? Are you staying?
When was the fight? The fight was in April, right? It was April.
It was 4 weeks ago.
Okay,
no more than 4 weeks.
I'm gonna respond to that question, but I'm gonna pass it around first, and I'm gonna respond to what you said. Dave, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Actually, I agree with Lady Chan. I mean, that fight's in recent memory. It just happened like less than a month ago. I don't think they should be pressuring him to make a statement whether he's retired. I know what he said afterwards in that performance in the ring. He said he's contemplating retirement, or he was wishy-washy about it. But it's no surprise. I mean, like, do we forget the WBC let Oscar Valdez keep his title after being caught on a banned substance? I mean, it's just more of the same. We've already illustrated today the WBC claims Ryan Garcia already had a fight in the making. So it's no surprise to me. But I think, honestly, in this case, Lady Chan is correct. This fight's pretty recent. He's got to be given the opportunity to mull this decision over and then make a formal announcement.
I'm surprised. People are giving my man TF a pass tonight, baby. Everyone's usually shit on this guy. I feel like grabbing my Tyson Fury shirt and putting it on.
Go get it. Go on in your signed gloves.
You know what I got?
I bet you got it.
I paid $70. I got that one that has all the sponsors on it, the WBC on the left shoulder. I wore it to the gym. Everyone was like really fucking clocking me, man. Like I was a somebody wearing the TF shirt. I was a star.
Yeah.
Brian, what's going on, brother? What do you think? Should the WBC make a move on TF?
What's good?
I said, should the WBC make a move on TF, man? Should they make a decision?
Man, fuck the WBC, man. man, fuck Miss Maurice. Fuck Moran.
Don't know his name.
Mauricio Cinema.
No. Man, fuck, no, I know, for real, fuck the WBC, man. They always be making these retarded-ass mandates. Creating belts every second, creating belts for trainers and shit, man. What kind of stupid shit are we dealing with this regime with Mauricio Suleiman? Or Moran Suleiman, man?
All right. Thanks,
That's
Brian.
where he stands.
Man,
Tell us how you really feel. Yeah.
D, what are your thoughts, man?
Look, when Lennox Lewis retired, I mean, they let him. Oh no, they didn't. They immediately had Vitaly Klitschko fight Sanders, okay, for that vacant belt. Did they not?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
True.
So like now, granted that was in fairness, Lewis, I'm sure, just vacated the belt because he was serious about retiring. Okay. This dude, we don't know if he's going to retire or not. So I want to know what is the WBC going to do? Are you going to set up a mandatory? Is somebody going to be? Are you going to do some eliminators, official ones? What exactly is going to happen? Or are you just going to not really do anything and just wait and see what this guy decides to do? Okay, I understand that money makes the world go around and all that good stuff. But I am sick and tired of Mauricio Suleiman and WBC treating fighters differently depending on what type of money they bring in, what they generate, or the type of because that's not you're supposed to be a non-profit organization, okay, that looks out for the fighters, the little guy, the guy that is the high risk, low reward. You're supposed to be giving them the shots. You're not supposed to be in the business of promoting. You're not supposed to be let the promoters promote. You're not supposed to be in the business of managing. Let managers promote. You're not supposed to be looking out for the best, giving special privileges to the stars of the sport with franchise belts and all this other dumb shit. And this is essentially a franchise title, but just not officially. Like they're just letting him hang on to the belt for as long as he fucking wants. Like they're basically saying, oh, we're not going to pressure him at all. No, there's supposed to be pressure, actually. I'm not saying strip him now, but it should be like, hey, we're going to give this guy 3 months to tell us what he wants to do. After that, we're going to strip him. There should be pressure. Well, what do you mean no pressure? Well, what do you mean how we let him do what he wants? He's a Gypsy King. He sang American Pie after the fight, so it's all good. Like, no, I don't give a shit. Like, his saying sucks, and the fact that he's keeping everything just hostage sucks. And he acts like the way the hyenas in Lion King act. Okay, with Usyk, when they would mention the name fucking Mufasa, like Mufasa. Right? Remember that scene? Every time somebody says Usyk, he's from the eastern side. The heavyweight championship is a western title.
Yeah, you're right.
So all I'm saying is, something just tells me that if Joshua wins the rematch, all of a sudden he's going to come out of retirement. Okay? All of a sudden he's going to want to do the all British, unification fight that we all know he wanted. Okay? And in my opinion, he kind of held up and misled the public. That's my opinion. All right, but that's all I said.
Yeah, he did.
Drew, what's going on, man? What do you think?
I think he can sing, by the way.
Me too.
That's just
great singer.
No, you don't fanboy like that where you lie to yourself. He can't sing. He's all right, but he's not like that. Come on.
Damn, a lot of hate in here.
He's not even at Pacquiao's level. Right?
Why is it hate if you disagree? Why does it automatically go to hate when you disagree? Do you like dog? Do you like dog doo-doo, Drew? Do you like dog doo-doo? Have you ever tasted it?
Nobody likes
No,
dog
you haven't,
doo-doo.
have you? So you haven't, have you? So no, you haven't.
You'd be dumb as shit to taste dog doo-doo.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is you don't like, it doesn't mean like because you haven't done something, it means you automatically hate it. It's not hate. It means it's just a dislike. It's not hate.
Everyone has their preferences, in other words, Drew.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's not hate. I just gave you, I don't like Tyson Fury, and I just gave you the most objective answer that I could give. And I don't like him.
She gave him props.
So you were doing American Idol, is what you're saying?
So, be honest, he has a year to defend his belt. You can't pressure him to give it up. You can't pressure him that he wants to retire or not. You still don't have the rematch happening yet with Usyk and Joshua. Till that happens, you don't have to really talk about Tyson Fury until that rematch happens. And then whoever wins, when the question will pop up. Is Tyson Fury going to fight the winner of Usyk, AJ, or is he going to retire? Other than that, I don't think nobody else should talk about Tyson Fury until this rematch is over.
Here's my problem with the whole thing, and I'm the biggest Tyson Fury fan ever, right? But I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck, like Lady Chan. She's keeping it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Mm-hmm. Say I wake up tomorrow, I walk into my office, and I tell my boss, "Hey, it's done. It's nice working with you. It's been a pleasure. I'm done." I clean out my desk, right? I go home. I sit on my couch, put my feet up, drink a nice diet Snapple, right? Watching Leave It to Beaver reruns, right? Then maybe 3 weeks later, I walk into my office. I said, "Hey, I was just kidding, boss. There's someone already sitting at my desk, right? My boss is like, what are you doing here?" Right? So you can't just say I quit and then expect the world to stop for you. Right?
Exactly.
So if he retired, like he said, "I'm officially retired. I'm done." So vacate that belt and let someone else.
Said 100%. Like Piers Morgan asked him, "Is there a chance?" He said 100%. I am finished.
Right? Yeah, so let someone else fight for the title. Right? If you're serious, you're serious. I like the jokes. I like the shtick, but like, how many times are we going to allow this guy, or is he going to be allowed to say one thing and do another, right?
Can I at this point? So if it is about waiting a year, like I get he has a year to defend it, but
if you're not retired, you have
exactly.
If
like
you're not retired.
If the argument was that, then why doesn't he say, "Hey, I got a year to decide here"? You know what I mean? Like that's not what he's saying. He's never said, "Oh, I'll fight the winner of Joshua versus Usyk. I have a year to do my mandatory, so I'm good." Like he hasn't said any of that. He said, "I'm retired 100%." And just like Lennox Lewis, when he retired, okay, that Sanders and Vitali fight for the vacant belt. That's what you do. In boxing tradition, when a fighter retires, the number one, number two guy fight for the vacant belt. That's what you do. That's what's done. Okay, if this was Joe Schmo in the lightweight division, or if this was anybody else, any other fighter that didn't have a name, like they would only do this for a Fury. To keep it real, for a Fury, a Canelo, only guys like that. What they do this for?
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that's fine.
the WBC is the only sanctioning body that allows this to go on. Remember Deontay Wilder? You know,
He's still number one, Beeb, after two back-to-back
after-
losses.
ex-
Why he still won?
Yeah, and not only that, then he fights a mandatory. Like he goes like almost two and a half years without fighting a mandatory. Then when he fights a mandatory, he fights Dominic Brazil, who's ranked number 5 in the division, instead of fighting Dillian White. Oh,
But he could have got paid way more to fight when he was offered to
yeah,
fight.
the Dillian White fight was a way bigger fight, but he didn't. You know, so if this was the IBF or this was the WBO, this would not,
He would have been stripped. The
He
IBF
would have been
would have
stripped.
stripped him ages ago.
They would have stripped,
ages.
and the IBF already did strip him before. You know, when he didn't.
Yeah, the IBF stripped Fury already.
Yeah,
and
so
then he vacated
so
it.
that's the thing.
Yeah,
man.
I don't know why they aid and abet him. That's what I call it. It's
Yeah.
aiding and abetting. Like
I agree with
don't
I
know.
agree with I agree with you 100%, Lady Chan. If he didn't retire, he could have
Yeah.
said, "I'm contemplating retirement. I don't know right away. I'm gonna mull it over, and you know I'll let you know in a couple months."
But you do
But-
realize, guys, that when he comes back, I don't know if anyone saw my report. He is no longer lineal because he's denounced it and said he's retired publicly. Doesn't matter if you've dropped the belt or not. Once you got to go and look at the procedures of lineal.
That's
Once
correct.
you publicly, he's not. So I don't want to hear him coming back if he wants to fight out of the winner out of Usyk and Joshua. Them coming saying lineal champion. No, you're not lineal. You're not, because you're not. Because I can prove that. You're not.
Well, in my opinion,
not.
Lennox
You wasn't
Lewis
lineal
was-
anyway when you came back the last time. But we
in my opinion, Lennox Lewis was the last lineal champion, and you know,
facts.
I don't think by beating Vladimir that he was lineal, but that's just my opinion.
Technically,
So-
there was a few lineal. Joshua was lineal, but you never heard him talk about it because no one cared because everyone was like, that's not the real thing or whatever. Like Tyson Fury came back with that, like, I'm lineal. And as soon as he got the WBC belt, tell the truth, Beep, you didn't really hear him talk about him being lineal as much. Was I
No,
won
but the
WBC belt now.
ESPN guys were like the ESPN guys. They always come up with these crazy stats. Like they were sitting there saying, "Oh, Lomachenko has a higher power connect percentage than Roberto Duran." What kind of comparison is that? Roberto Duran had over 100 fights. Of course, I mean, does that even matter? These are like dummy. These are like dummy statistics. Who gives a shit
I
about
don't
this?
bother with it. I didn't even know that statistic. It was so dumb. It didn't even. It just bounced off of me. I had to force it.
They also said Loma was undefeated, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So what do we do with Tyson Fury then, Beeb? What do we do?
Well,
What do we do?
we have to just sit there and let this fiasco play.
Yeah,
its
I just
course.
think they should give him a reason. I think if they said we're going to give him a quarter of a year, that's reasonable,
3
right?
months.
But like
4 months.
what? So we're going to wait a whole year to see if he makes his decision.
True.
Like he's supposed to defend in a year. That means you still got to promote the fight. You still have to train for it. There still has to be an eliminator. There's things still in place that need to happen. If nothing is happening for this year, that's kind of stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I agree with D-Style. In my opinion, what they should do is we'll give you 4 months to decide, and then after 4 months, if you haven't decided, well, then vacate the belt, please.
And we've got two stagnant people because everyone keeps talking about, well, Wilder's next in line. We ain't heard a peep from him since he said he was going to Bali.
I'm hearing these rumors that he's supposed to be
I don't know
coming
where
back.
was he going, Bali or Peru? Which way
Yeah,
was he going?
I don't know
Bali,
where he is. He's doing
Ayahuasca.
something. Yeah.
He's doing
Why do we keep
ayahuasca.
putting him in why do we keep putting him in the equation? These two guys keep doing this. Fury, Wilder keep fucking up. Haven't you noticed? They don't say nothing. They fuck up the division. They say a lot. They fuck up the division. They just don't do. They're just not good for the division.
Wilder has a statue now. He's got a statue.
Yeah, good.
What?
Great for
got a
him. I
statue,
saw
though.
it.
There's a lot of fucking up.
No disrespect. Good for him. The best
You know,
thing that
there's a
came out.
statue. There's a statue of Mike Tyson at Resorts World Casino in Las Vegas, and whoever did that is lousy. It doesn't look anything like Mike Tyson, but that statue of Deontay Wilder,
Looks like
props
him.
to that guy. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Is it good,
Okay.
Dave? Is it online? You can see it online.
The Deontay Wilder one is very good. The Mike Tyson statue in Resorts World Las Vegas is shit.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm happy. I'm
Well,
happy
I mean-
for Deontay Wilder.
So we've got two people that we're questioning, are they retired? Tyson Fury, are you retired? And Deontay Wilder, we've heard nothing. So are you still active? We don't know. So it's just holding up the whole division completely.
Gotcha.
Completely.
So let's talk about another guy that had a great fight this past weekend, Boots Ennis over Costio Clayton, first round knockout. Supposedly now he's the IBF mandatory, right?
It was second round knockout.
Was it? I'm sorry, second. Yes, correct. Thank you.
You're adding a little hype there, Beeb. You're adding a little hype there.
Trying to bump up a little bit. You know, I like to sneak those in there every now and then. But
Yo,
this was crazy, man. That the IBF had like number 1 and 2 not rated, and like Boots was like ranked number 3. But so this fight, I guess, with Costio Clayton was like for the mandatory spot. But I don't know the Phantom 1 and 2. I don't know where they went. But anyways, big question is, now that he's the mandatory, do you think that he will get a title shot in 2023 at some point? Brian, what do you think, brother?
so are you talking? And we're talking about which fight in 2023?
Boots Ennis, now that he's the IBF mandatory, do you think he's going to get a title shot in 2023?
Yeah, probably in October of 2023. Yeah, I mean, 'cause that's just, I mean, and we only can base that off of what's been going on the past several years, especially the last 2 or 3 years in boxing, where guys don't want to fight their mandatories. You know, I mean, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, these guys taking, you know, forever and a day to make a damn fight. PBC, the same damn thing. So those belts are going to be held up. If the IBF has integrity like they claim to have, right, they would strip, who is it? Who has the IBF title? Errol Smith. They'd strip his ass, man. You know what I'm saying? Because he ain't going to fight that. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. The way these guys are acting, the way these guys are, their mannerism, the way they're moving, the fight's not going to happen until 2023, if it happens at all.
You talking about with Crawford?
Crawford Smith. I mean, look, at this point, it should have been announced. It should have been like, yeah, we agreed. It's just nothing's been official yet. But
yeah,
exactly. So, and that's why I say that Boots Ennis gets a title shot late 2023, because first and foremost, nobody wants to fight him. And that includes the champions. Like I said, both champions will get knocked out by Boots Ennis. But not only that, you know, these guys take forever and a day to make a damn fight, and they claim to be champions. And these sanctioning bodies have no integrity, so they don't hold their champions accountable. So they let them defend their title once every 2 years. So, you know, hey, Boots ain't gonna get a shot at the IBF till next year, man. Late next year, at that.
Okay.
It won't be Spence though, would it? Because Spence will have moved up by then.
You think? Well, what do you think, lady?
Spence don't want to fight nobody, Lady Chan. That's the thing. He don't want to fight nobody.
I know.
So, what do you think, Lady Chan? Do you think that Crawford and Spence will get it on, or do you think that Spence will end up fighting Boots? How do you think this whole thing is going to play out?
Well, I don't think that. I think Boots has got a better chance of fighting either or Spence or Crawford at 54, to be honest, because he looks like he's busting out the weight. He's 24. He's massive. So I don't see him staying there for much longer unless he's going to be fighting an Ortiz or whatever, because these little lads, they're not doing nothing, but they're looking at the older lads. Of course, he's in position as an IBF Mando. Will he get it? I doubt it. Will we get the Spence Crawford fight this year? I don't know. Another one where I've just given up. It's just like fantasy. It's just like, it's whatever. If we don't get it this year, we don't get it this year. What are we going to do? Slit our wrists and lose sleep? Well, it's not our money. It's not our lives. It's just the sport that we do love.
I'll be disappointed if we don't get that fight this year, Lady Chan.
But, you know, life goes on, B.
We
just be disappointed and move on to the next disappointment, because that's all boxing is at the minute. And it's disappointment.
Well, we have gotten some decent fights this year, though. We got a couple undisputed fights. You got to be happy about that.
I'm happy about that. So there's going to be ones that's going to slip. That one's going to be a disappointment.
Maybe we can't be spoiled. We can't be spoiled.
We've been spoiled. It's like, let's not get our hopes right. If it happens, cool. If it don't, it's whatever the weather.
Do you think Boots is going to get that title shot next year? What do you think?
Look, Boots should get his title shot. Like, if Boots is the mandatory, he should get a shot, right? And I know what boxing fans are saying. There's boxing fans mad at Boots because he's the mandatory. Like, damn, Boots, because of you, now you're going to ruin this fight. We've been waiting 5 years. You've been waiting 5 years. What does that tell you? They've had 5 years. So that means Amir Khan got to fight, Brooke got to fight, Ocampo got to fight, freaking Danny Garcia, Porter got a crack at both of them. But now that it's Boots' chance, now there's a problem. Everybody's acting a little different when it comes to this Boots guy. Okay? Because you know what it is? You're worried that he might ruin the whole shit. That's what it is. That's what keep it honest. Facts. If this was Danny Garcia going to fight Crawford, for example, what do we hate? Would we be like, what for? Yes, but we wouldn't be like, oh my God, Danny might ruin this fight. Like, ain't nobody going to be saying that, right? Like, but this one, he could be a spoiler. And you know what? Good. If he goes in and he beats Spence, good. If he gets the Crawford fight, he beats Crawford. Hey, I like Crawford, but good. You know why? You know why? Because these motherfuckers they didn't make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they're doing the whole like you find somebody new and then the person you're with, you're gonna dump them. And nah, baby, no, I'll do it this time. Right now, it's too late. It's been 5 years. It's been 5 years for you to treat me good, and now you want to treat me good now that I found somebody to treat me good. No. So all I know is this: if Boots deserves his shot, give him his shot. Boxing fans, you should support that. You should be all for Boots getting his title shot. And guess what? If that's 2023, then both your asses better fight each other soon. I'll just say that right now. Let's end this damn chapter. Enough marinating, waiting to make the fight bigger. My side of the street and all that other dumb shit. Now, all I will say is this: historian, he ain't gonna knock Crawford out. You just need to stop that right now. Like, you need to just stop. Like saying he's gonna knock Crawford. That ain't gonna happen. Okay, but other than that, he deserves a shot.
You know, he's the favorite now. A lot of people are
no, he's not the favorite. He's the favorite with people that don't know boxing.
No, the odds. I'm saying the odds have
against Crawford.
Yeah, he's slightly favored.
I'm gonna get that money.
He hasn't fought anybody. That is so
you're gonna destroy that young man.
I was surprised. I was surprised to see it because I think Crawford's gonna.
You're gonna ruin his career. You're gonna ruin his career putting him in the ring with Terence Crawford. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bet on Crawford.
Fight. Don't get it twisted. A great fight, but why is Crawford not the favorite? See the disrespect. Like, this is where you bring in the lineal. Like, look, subjective now. Twice lineal. Fighter of the year for 2 years in a row. Undisputed, 3-division champ. Like, that's when you bring lineal. When it's like fucking hell, you wanted to be.
Hey, but here's the reason why he's not the favorite.
And then Boots is the favorite. This game is a treat.
What's Boots beat? Like, to be the favorite of Crawford. How do they know this? How do you know?
But here's the reason why he's not. But here's the reason why he be the favorite, because he's a young, hungry lion that's knocking everything.
So surprised. Why are you knocking everybody out at levels?
Yeah, there's levels, and you know what? You give the young, hungry lion a chance. If the young, hungry lion proves that he's the real deal, then guess what? The hype was always for sure.
Okay, but he's not the favorite. Is all I'm saying is give him the shot, but he shouldn't be the favorite.
Yeah,
why not?
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting what the odds will be when he does get his shot. That'll be interesting. Dave, is the young hungry lion going to get his shot in 2023, as Brian so eloquently puts it?
2023. Oh my God! Put on my big Swami hat. Man, that's quite a long ways away, man. I think there's definitely going to be some step aside money in the meantime. But this delay between Errol Spence and Bud Crawford only benefits Errol Spence. I mean, let's just be honest about what he's doing. He's delaying as long as possible in hopes to gain an advantage over Terence Crawford, who's going to be, 36 pretty soon?
No, don't you do that. He's 34 right now. He's be 35.
Okay, 35 in this year, right? He's going to be 35 this year. Yeah. But yeah, he's hoping that'll just slow down Terence Crawford just a bit. So looking into 2023, if we ever get this fight into fruition, I think Terence Crawford wins that fight. And I think Terence Crawford moves up to 154 to chase historic legacy and moving up to 154 for his final a shot at another title in another division. So will Drew's guy get the shot in 2023? I think most likely, but I don't know against who. It could be a vacated belt for all we know.
Yeah.
I would. By the way, Zab Judah was a young, hungry lion when they put him into a casa stew. So what happened to Zab Judah? Okay, Vargas was a young, hungry lion when they put him in there with Felix Trinidad. What happened to Fernando Vargas after that? I'm just telling you guys right now, you're biting off more than you could chew. He ain't ready for no Crawford right now. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
But D-Style, Spence and Terrence Crawford are not those dudes. They don't come from that same cloth, bro. Don't even act like that.
What?
Whoa.
Crawford's from that cloth.
You stop, TBH.
Crawford is that cloth. He wears that cloth.
He was the cloth. Yeah.
You know what? He's halfway. Look, he's halfway there.
Oh, he's halfway there.
We're working him in. We're bringing him in little by little.
I know. You see what Crawford could achieve, guys.
I mean, Terrence Crawford, my favorite guy, bro.
PBC are not going to allow Crawford to be an all-time great. They're going to block him at 54 because they got most of the 54 fighters as well. They ain't gonna let him have that run. They ain't gonna let him be like 4-division world champ, two-time undisputed. No. They're not gonna have that. They're not. You can see the battle that they're giving him now. Do you think they're gonna let him have that run? No way. No way. Unfortunately, no way.
No way. So Drew,
no way. I'll say. No
will
way.
your man get that shot in 2023, brother?
Well, I'll listen to you guys for the last 10 minutes, wasting 10 minutes of your lives talking about fantasy fights. Well, they're both going to avoid Boots Ennis and move up to 154. He's going to fight for a vacated belt, unfortunately. And unfortunately, it's not going to be against Virgil Ortiz because Golden Boy's going to not give a big fight. It's not going to be Conor Ben because he's going to fight another semi-retired guy. It's going to be against, I have no clue. And he's going to be the IBF welterweight champion.
But Drew, why?
You know who's beating semi-retired guys? Boots. He's the guy beating semi-retired.
No, that's Conor Ben. He beat Chris out. He knocked out Chris out. Jerry, Samuel Vargas, because he's semi-retired now.
Costio Clayton wasn't? He's had 19 fights and he's 34. 19 fights and he's 34. You tell me how active he's been.
Lipinets beats them all.
Oh, please. He's inactive.
Anyway, Thomas DeLorme was at the height of his career coming up 2 straight losses, right?
Can I just ask why you bring Crawford in saying Crawford is... You said Crawford and Spence is going to move up and avoid... No, Crawford doesn't hold the IBF belt, so he's not avoiding anybody.
Well, here's the thing. Whoever wins that fight is going to have to fight Boots. Because if Crawford wins, he's the IBF champion. He's
okay, so then so that's mandatory. Crawford Ben said that he's going up. It's not like, now I'm going up. Crawford already said, I want to be undisputed, and then I want to go up. That's not avoiding. It's not avoiding. That's not avoiding.
Errol Spence is long overdue to move up. Long overdue to move up and weight.
Busting out that way.
To be fair, Drew, before I go to you, George, what's going on, brother? I see
what's going on. Hey, I'm good, man. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. Before I go to George, just want to say one thing. Crawford and Spence, they've been at 147 for a minute now, and they're getting up there in age. If they go up to 154, they go up to 154. I mean, I don't think it's just to avoid this guy. Like I said, I think it's time for them to go up, in my opinion. But George, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think, George? You think we're going to get this fight? You think Boots going to get a title shot in 2023? Now,
I think he
after being the mandatory.
I think he will. But the question obviously is, will he get it against Spence or Crawford? And I agree. I think that they're both long overdue at 147. I think as soon as Spence and Crawford happens, and I'm gonna agree with Dave. I'm picking Crawford to win. We could see Crawford possibly fight Charlo or whoever Charlo fights and whoever the winner is there. I mean, but as far as Boots, offhand, I don't know who I'm seeing him fight for a belt next year. But he will get it. He will get it. There's no doubt in my mind that he will contest for a bout. One name that does come to my mind is David Benevidaz. I don't know why. I know he needs a dance partner. So it would be interesting to see that. I know Benevidaz has been on the back burner. Even who's the guy? Stayonis. Maybe Stayonis.
Stayonis, yeah, that's a great fight.
Yeah, maybe Stayonis could be a possible opponent.
Good call, George. Good call. Here's my concern. Even if Crawford and Spence don't move up, what if there's a rematch clause? What if they fight twice? Will essentially
the second fight at 54, the rematch? I'll see you at 54, man. Wait, holding up the division. Yeah. This guy.
Because once you get all 4 of those belts, then that's mandatories. More mandatories
coming out your ass.
Yeah.
But you guys also got to look at it like this: Boots isn't even signed to Al Heyman, so Al Heyman's not going to feed his best fighters the boots.
I like what my man Ashley said, man. He's old school. He said, "You can't become great by ducking fades." I love it.
One name you guys haven't brought up in this Boots saga is the guy who really wants his title back, and that's Keith Thurman. Keith once upon Thurman. Yeah, because if these guys vacate the belts in this super matchup, Keith Thurman is still waiting. There's no indication Keith Thurman wants to be a contender at 154.
Really? Yeah.
Interesting.
Keith who? I forgot him. I forgot. Keith none time, done time, sometime, once upon a time. I ain't got time.
So we already talked about one Charlo brother tonight. Let's talk about the other one. Jermall Charlo was being interviewed by Fight Hub TV, and he was asked about Benavidez, David Benevidaz, for that matter.
We're talking about Mufasa, and now you want to talk about Scar? Come on.
Name the names.
So he was asked about David Benevidaz, right? And he said, "Yeah, we can get that fight done in 2023." Now we've been hearing that this fight could happen for a little while now. Once again, I know we're asking a lot of questions about fights happening where, we got the crystal ball, the wish list going here. Is Jermall Charlo serious, or is he selling wolf tickets? Will he fight David Benevidez in 2023? George, talk to me.
I mean, that's what we want, right? I mean, we've been asking for this shit for years. We get Sulecki. I mean, I feel like, man, boy cries wolf. He's selling them wolf tickets for me. I mean, if he does fight Benavidez next year, I'll be pretty fucking surprised.
Yeah, I'm hoping he does. Brian, you think that fight's going to happen next year? Benavidez and Charlo, Jermall. Oh, he's not.
It should. Well,
Everyone's having.
It should happen this year.
Nice.
I think that.
Nice.
That's why the Beebs got the 1,200 download. He paid the money. He got the 1,200 download in the Comcast package, Daddy. All right.
That one's out. They both fall out.
You gotta sort it out, man. Gotta sort it out.
They both fell out.
Gotta give you guys a stipend for some internet charges. All right. D, is your man Jermall Charlo selling wolf tickets?
No, I'm gonna surprise everybody a little bit. So look, I've been a critic of Jermall, right? And I've done it not in a look. I don't dislike the Charlos at all. Like I was always a fan of the Charlos, right? I never stopped with Jermell, but I've been very critical of Jermall, right? But again, as someone that wants to see him unify, I want to see. He's never been in a unification fight ever. I just feel like it's time, right? And when he's asked about Andrade, and he says, "I ain't nobody know who he is," right? Well, if you treat someone below you in terms of popularity or is perceived a certain way, if you treat them like, oh, they're not, nobody knows who they are, then don't get mad when somebody above you treats you the same way, right? So he can't accuse Canelo doing that to him if he's doing it to Andrade, for example, right? All I know is that Jermall is a talented fighter. I want to see him in there with great talent. And I think it makes sense, and I'm hoping anyway, and I do believe that he got inspired by what his brother accomplished on Saturday. I saw some post-fight interviews of him. He looks genuinely excited and proud of his brother. And he has to feel like there has to be something there that he's like, you know what? I want to do some great shit too. I want my brother to be proud of me too, right? That has to be there. And that's why I do actually believe that he will move up to 168. I do believe he will fight Benavidez. I don't know if it'll be next year, but at some point I do believe he will do it. I give him a chance in a fight, especially if it's next year. I don't know how long Benavidez can keep making 168 comfortably. I just don't know. Ain't nobody know, right? So he might be up for the picking, right? I don't know how he's going to react to some of Lemieux's punches. We'll wait and see. But me personally, I do think Jermall has been inspired. I think he's going to go to 168 and try to get those big fights, try to get that Canelo fight, try to get the Benavidez fight, you know what I mean, the planned fight. I do think he's going to do that. I actually do believe what his brother accomplished, I think it lit a fire under his ass, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Drew, do you
Hey, can y'all hear me?
are you back, Brian? You good?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, man.
My bad. I think the fight. I agree with D Star. I think the fight is going to happen. I think it's going to happen this year. It should. I mean, after that little fiasco at that punk ass fight with Ugas and Spence, I mean, and that little scenario happened in the way it did. The only other thing that can happen is the fight happening. I don't care if Benavidez gets knocked out. Let's say by some miracle, David Lemieux knocks out Benavidez. I still want to see, and his stock drop. I still would want to see that shit with him and Charlo just because of that shit. I think there's. I mean, really, it's like this. At the end of the day, you got to look at it from Charlo's standpoint. You did what you had to do. You drew the guy out. And it's like this. If you want that fight or even have a remote chance against a Canelo Alvarez and fight for some big money, you're going to have to take out the one guy that's the number one contender at 168 to give more stock to your claim to be a candidate for the Canelo Alvarez sweepstakes. Regardless if Canelo Alvarez or not, he's still a fucking cash cow. And he's probably the only cash cow right now in boxing, especially in America. So, smart thing to do is for him to take that fight. And I don't think that Benavidez wouldn't take the fight because he most likely Canelo ain't gonna fight Benavidez anytime soon. So, yeah, that's probably gonna happen this year. Should.
Dave, do you think this fight happens, brother?
No, I don't. I think we're going to see tomorrow on the scale just how bad Benavidez has a hard time making 168. But I think he talks a good game because let's be honest, 160 pounds saddled between junior middleweight and super middleweight has become the shit show of boxing. Really, it has. You've got Oscar De La Hoya with Jaime Munguia treating him like a baby he won't take the freaking training wheels off of Jaime Munguia. They're basically waiting for all the other champions to vacate their titles. So Jaime Munguia is fighting bald-headed guys, making big announcements. I'm really annoyed by it because Andrade, despite having Eddie Hearn on his side, wasn't able to materialize a solid fight over at the Zone. In fact, he said, if Andrade can't get a good fight with me, so be it, go somewhere else, right? So he's chasing his dream up to 168. All of these guys are motivated by, like the boxing historian just said, they're basically chasing Canelo Alvarez. Canelo told Charlo and Benavidez, fight each other. Do something. Don't quit chasing my tail. Do something for yourself. Prove to other people you deserve to be in the ring with me and earn a fight with me, right? He only fought Caleb Plant because Caleb had that title. Now, these other guys, he's going to make them all fight each other. He's got Andre chasing him up to 168. And who's going to be left is going to be Jaime Munguia. He'll be left at 160 all by himself to pick up an easy title.
Wow, Dave, you just painted a sad story for us right there, man. But it could be true,
Everybody
man.
else is doing great things. We've got Undisputed at 154. We've got Undisputed at 168. We have a potential Undisputed at light heavyweight. But 160 is the shit show of boxing right now.
It really is, isn't it? Really is. Go ahead, Drew.
Well, I don't know why they just couldn't fight this year, because I guess BBC fighters only fight once a year and everything because of, I don't know, but you're not going to see that fight. You're going to see a Caleb Plant Jermall Charlo fight before a Benavidez Jermall Charlo fight, because they're going to think Caleb Plant is vulnerable against Jermall Charlo, and I think Caleb Plant beats Jermall Charlo. But Benavidez, I don't think he's not going to be able to make 168 much longer.
Yeah,
I think he moves up to 175, and he fights a whole lot of bums at 175 that PBC will only be able to feed him, because, tell you the truth, his management team has not been able to get him a significant fight. The best fight on his resume is Anthony Durrell. Other than that, it's nothing really to talk about David Benevidaz, because he hasn't fought anybody.
Wow. A lot of gloom and doom, but it's true. Lady Chan, does this fight happen between Charlo and David Benevidez next year?
Yeah, I think next year it has to, because if it doesn't, that's just going to be looked so that you've somehow got a problem with this dude, that you somehow fear him. So him moving up into that weight division, you're going to have to fight Benavidez. You're just going to have to fight him. I think Jamal's going to do better at 68 than what he's done at 60. It's just going to be, I think, I speak to Ronnie, and Ronnie, my uncle Ronnie, call him Uncle Ronnie. He tells me that Jermall, he makes the weight comfortably, but it's time for him to, move to 68. It'll be able to have that extra 8 pounds and not come down and not cut so much weight. I think you'll see a better Mal. I think you see a more focused Mal because of Mel, of what we just witnessed, and just a different mix up of fighters. Yeah, the Benavidez thing's just always going to haunt him unless he just deals with the matter, and then he can move on and do what else he's got to do. And Munguia, he looks like he's dying at 160 anyway. So let him pick up a fake belt, faint while he's picking that up, because making 160 for Munguia looks like that's become difficult. He needs to just quickly get a belt real quick at 60. Then these dudes, he's 24, 25. He's going to be up at 68 soon. You saw him passing out at the weigh-in. So, I mean, it's probably just going to be better for these lot to leave, go to 68, Mel to come to 60 and refresh everything. And then we'll see from there. But I do believe that I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that Mal does fight Benavidez next year.
Yeah, I think Jermall is a big middleweight, and you can tell he's significantly bigger than his brother. When they stand next to each other, you can tell Jermall's bigger. And I think he'd be better at 168. I think he'd definitely be stronger at 168. I think the really interesting thing though is, will Canelo pick one of them before they could fight each other? That's the thing.
Can I? I just want to add this point. Look, a lot is said, and I seen it on Twitter, and I saw Mighty Max tweet out that Benavidez's resume is not that good. Look, Benavidez is only 25 years old, and I think like people don't realize that. Let me just put it in perspective for you, okay? It's going to be the year 2031. 2031. Let me repeat that. When he's the same age Andrade's right now. What has Andrade done? Like, his time is running out. He's 34 years old. You know what I mean? So, like, he's got 9 more years to be the same age as Andrade, and Andrade hasn't done anything, right? I think his handlers haven't done well. And in fairness to Eddie, at least he let him go and said, I couldn't do anything for him, right? And let him go. I think that was the right thing to do if he couldn't get him fights. But at the end of the day, I mean, he didn't stand up for him when he was calling out Canelo at the press conference. So Eddie was just like, I don't know who this guy is.
Well, but he told him to sit down. Eddie told him to sit down.
Yeah, like it's like you know when you're kids and your mom's loud and you're embarrassed. You're like, I don't know who she is. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was Eddie Hearn, like talking to Andrade. You know what I mean? So all I want to say is this: Benavidez is young, and because of that, he needs to move up to 175. Okay, he needs to move up because it's getting ridiculous. He don't look good, bro.
He looked drained, Johnny. He looked drained last minute. Yeah,
he's busting out at the seams. Really is. All right, we're gonna sneak one last one in here before we go. We talked about it already. That the zone pay-per-view numbers. It's been reported by Eddie Hearn. I don't know if this is true or not. 600,000 pay-per-view buys. Is this a good showing for Canelo? First pay-per-view on DAZN. I believe it's the DAZN's first pay-per-view. Is this a good look for everyone involved? I know when Canelo was over on PBC on Showtime, they did 800,000. So this is kind of a step down. But again, we're gonna, cut DAZN some slack. It's their first pay-per-view. Is this good? These good numbers. Drew, start with you.
First of all, I don't believe the numbers till I see the proof and everything. Leonard Ullaby says 300,000. I don't see proof of that either. So until I see some proof, I don't care about who says what numbers they are. Because tell you the truth, you made your North American subscribers pay for pay-per-view, plus pay for a subscription every month or a yearly subscription over $100, while your overseas subscribers get the fight for free after paying a subscription. Now, you're going to lose subscribers over that. Yeah, lucky you. So at the end of it, tell you the truth, I doubt this fight did 300,000. I doubt it did 600,000. It might done in between. It might have done a little bit lower. We don't know nothing until we see some evidence, some paper proof or something. Other than that, I don't want to hear about it until I see some proof on paper.
Got you. So, Lady Chan, you didn't have to pay for this one, huh?
No, but I mean, don't begrudge us a bit for that, because I mean,
no, because there's some that
we got to get perks of being British. At
But
least
the United States is still getting taxed by the British till this day. They just do it in other ways, like in boxing.
Yeah, but D-Style, do you know how many late nights I have to watch boxing on a Sunday morning? For you, it's a Saturday night. For me, it's a Sunday morning. So at least, just give us a free, a PPV less thing. We paid $7.99 for the prescription. We good. Come on.
They only pay $7. Well, I pay the 99 up front, so it comes out to like 8 1/4. But people who are on the monthly, they're paying $19.99 a month.
Well, we started for the first 6 months, $1.99. So we've only been on the $7.99 for the last maybe 4 months. So really, we've been getting away scot-free here.
But to be fair, there were some DAZN fights I think that you guys had to pay for on. I think
none. We've never paid for anything. We didn't pay for the Canelo fights. Nothing. The only thing we paid for the Canelo when he went over to PBC. But when Eddie done
you know what I'm thinking of? When we had Joshua Povetkin, was that a Sky pay-per-view?
Yeah, we have to pay for those though.
Yeah, that's
but our pay-per-view. I sometimes you get Joshua's for free pay-per-view, don't you?
Correct.
Joshua always pay-per-view. He's free over there sometimes, and he's on ESPN.
Sometimes.
Yeah, so we pay for it. We pay for that. We pay for that because he's on a different platform, and that's like $24.99. Same thing with Tyson Fury and White. We had to pay for that. You guys had to pay a hell of a lot of money for that. We only paid $24.99. You guys paid which $24.99 works out to be about $35. You guys had to pay about $60 for that, didn't you? For that pay-per-view.
Yeah, $60.
Nobody bought it anyway, so I don't blame you. You was the only one that bought it, babe.
Dave, you were questioning these numbers. Do you think that this is cap? And if it is like 300, do you even think that's a good number for Canelo?
TBH, sorry, you got to mute your mic, babe. You got to mute your mic.
Well, historically, it's an awful number, but it's entirely plausible to me. I mean, the younger generation, and I'm talking people like, what is that? What do they call that generation of 20-year-olds right now? It's not the X generation, right? Or whatever
Baby
that generation,
boomers or something like that.
Gen Z or whatever.
Millennials.
Gen Z kids are incredibly accustomed to streaming, finding a way to stream things illegally. No, you're not going to get away from that. And there's no perceived value in watching, even and paying for Canelo Alvarez when you're accustomed to watching him. What they claimed to be was just going to be a subscription model, the end of the pay-per-view model by subscription, right? So yeah, they lied to us. That's fucked up. I find it very difficult to pay for a Canelo fight when I was promised something else. So maybe the numbers are really low. Maybe it's all cap. It's entirely possible. I find it very difficult to understand why American audiences have to subsidize foreign countries' boxing addiction.
Fuck his own.
Oh,
yeah, I'm disappointed.
We stay up later, Dave. We stay up later for you guys. That's Why?
They've made a lot of sacrifices over the years. We have to give them credit, the UK fans. It's 2:00 over there in the morning right now, and
Come
she's
on.
with us. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful.
Nearly 3 a.m. here. Yeah.
3 a.m. almost. I'm grateful.
No
See,
way.
are these numbers good?
Yes, and if UFC fans and the world's going to believe Dana White when he puts out numbers, and I'm going to believe our promoters when they put out numbers. That's the way it is. That's the way they do it, right? So I'm just going to believe. Like if he said 600 to 700,000, I believe him. And to be honest with you, there's no reason for him to lie, because if it comes out that he was lying, then it's not going to be a good look. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it. And it sounds about right. It's lower. Like if he was going to lie, I mean, is he going to lie about 600,000? I mean, I don't know about that.
He would have said 9. He would have said 900.
He would have said 9. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't want to. You think he wants to admit that Canelo did better numbers when they were on Fox or on Showtime? You know, so, but it makes sense. I think the Caleb Plant fight was for Undisputed. I think Canelo was very active that year. There was the slap, the shove. Plant was talking shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like listo para los chingazos and all that good stuff, right? So he did his thing, and so he played his part, I should say, in making that fight what it was. Bivol, and it's not any fault to him. And look, I'm not advocating for fighters to act fake and start talking shit. Okay, he is who he is. He's a calm, reserved dude, and like I told you, baby, he wasn't no nervous dude. He was a calm, reserved dude. That's who he is. You know what I mean? And I do think the rematch would do more, because this is the guy that beat him. Like, it would do more, you know? And by the way, one more thing. Whenever you fight a Russian, you need to drop the patriotic entrances thing, right? It didn't work for Apollo, okay? And it obviously didn't work for Canelo, all right? Just don't be all patriotic, or you're going to get in the ring with a Russian and you're making him wait in the center of that ring. It never works out. I just want to say that.
Good point. Good point. Brian, do you believe these numbers, and do you think these are good if they're true? 600,000 pay-per-view buys.
Well, let's just say this, right? Considering everyone else, like Tank, considering that Tank Davis, who was an alleged pay-per-view star, by what logic, I don't know. Errol Spence, a pay-per-view star, a superstar in boxing, by what logic, I don't know. Terrence Crawford, by whatever logic, he's a superstar, I don't know. Yeah, it's amazing. 600,000 is very good compared to the shit that's out there today, right? In the mediocre fights we've been getting on pay-per-view these last couple of times that we've been seeing pay-per-view. All in all, I mean, he went up against the UFC, which it is what it is. It's gonna take a hit somehow, some way. Especially that card that they put on that same day against.
Look, I don't want to interrupt, Brian, but the UFC event did 400,000, and it did 700,000 the last time Canelo fought.
Yeah, it did, but I mean, I'm just saying they're taking it's. Yeah, but it did kind of take it did. There was a hit somewhere, at least from 150 to 200,000, possibly. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, I have no reason not to believe the numbers. I mean, that's the numbers that are reported. At the end of the day, certain guys in the business, they know what the hell they're seeing. Oh my God. Yeah, they're seeing, they know what they're seeing. They know their sources. It is what it is. We got to go by it. As far as the pay-per-view model with boxing, I don't know why there is a pay-per-view. There's no more HBO. Since HBO doesn't exist no more, why the fuck are you guys putting like PBC's retarded ass? Why are you putting on shit product for $39.99 or $79.99? You know what I'm saying? Look, if it ain't Canelo, it ain't shit when it comes to pay-per-view buys. So that's how I look at it. And hey, oh my fucking God. You know what? My bad. I'm going on mute.
All right, got you, bro.
Well, Joe, I just gotta say one thing. Bivol don't get free boxing lessons. I'll pay the fucking man already.
Got you.
Yeah,
And I don't even paid him the fucking liberty of it all, innit? Didn't you know he was Russian before you was doing the fight? Didn't you know? Didn't you get the memo that he was Russian?
I just want to make a quick note. I've been saying this, but if I'm Beterbiev or Beterbiev, I don't fight Joe Smith unless that money's on escrow.
My money, yeah, cash app it me.
Yeah, like that. I want that shit in advance, or I'm not gonna fight. If I was him, because imagine you fight Joe Smith and they don't pay you. Come on,
it's a liberty. I think that is fucking disgusting. I think they did. Sorry, go ahead, Drew. I feel they
Well, look
jilted.
at it like this. You know what the difference is between Petrov and Bivol? Bivol lives in St. Petersburg, Russia. Petrov is actually a Canadian citizen. So they're probably going to give him the money because he lives in Canada. They don't live in Russia. So that's why I think that's
People
why
live in America.
Now he lives in St. Petersburg, Russia. They only put him as California because that's where he trained at. They didn't want to put him as he's from St.
Yeah, he's from St. Petersburg.
That
Okay,
patriotic
so he just
bullshit.
trains in America. Cool.
Yeah,
That was one of the many
That
slights
was
they
the way
did
the
to him.
loophole to get out. Yeah, out of it. Kind
That
of
was
like,
one of the
okay.
many slights that they did to him.
Was
because
that
they-
an intended slight by Matchroom, or were
I
they trying
believe
to get him
so.
paid? I think they were trying to get him
well,
paid.
that's a great question. But either way, it's even if you had to do that to get him paid, it's still a slight that he can't tell people where he's from. You know?
Yeah, it is. It was.
They forgot to tie his laces together and then fight Canelo. You know, like that should have been.
Yeah, have
You know,
handcuffs.
I'm
That's why it
I'm
was a
from-
moral victory. Him winning it was a moral victory. And
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I got you.
paid the
Well,
dude.
he got disrespected the whole
Very
time.
respect.
because they made him come out
Whole
first
time.
when he's a champion. He should come out second. Doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
if he's fighting the cash cow or not. Eddie's just
Don't
kissing
matter.
Canelo's ass like crazy and everything.
And Eddie's
'Cause
just
you-
a fanboy. Yeah, it's disgraceful.
So at the end of the day, he didn't want to put like Eddie, man, when it comes to Canelo, he kisses Canelo's ass. He's the biggest ass kisser out of all of them. And everybody can disagree with me if they want, but that's the truth.
Already
Seriously.
said it.
Got you.
If you're gonna kiss an ass, it may as well be a cash cow's ass. May as
That's
well.
right. That's right. That's right.
Well, I guess
All
Eddie's
right.
a good ass kisser.
We've come to the end. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me tonight, and thank you for the chat. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, we're out. Peace out, everyone. Stay safe.
Peace.
Peace.